So I'd like to introduce you to David White, TUG President. And David, please take it away. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Gary. Hi, everybody. I am David White. I'm the president of Kayana Packaging and Industrial Supply, and I am the current chairman of the TUG Board of Directors. Thank you for joining us today for this presentation of the Infor Enhancement Request System, or as I'll call it from now on, the ERS. Several years ago, Infor formed the Customer Experience Board, or CEB, we're all into acronyms, with board members from many of Infor's ERP systems, from different lines of businesses and from different countries. I currently represent distribution on the board, and one of the roles of the CEB is to identify new or alternative strategies, services, and products to improve the customer experience. That's from our bylaws. The Enhancement Request System, or ERS, is one of the results of that role. Pretty much across all product lines around the world, Infor and the various user communities have managed their enhancement requests via spreadsheets. The problems that resulted from managing enhancement requests via spreadsheets were numerous, ranging from who had the most version of the enhancement list to what was the current status of enhancements that had been accepted for development. The CEB worked closely with Infor to develop the new enhancement request system. At the time, Infor was introducing a new development product for its customers called Mongoose. So in keeping with the theme of asking Infor to eat its own dog food, we asked that the ERS be developed using Mongoose. Infor was also developing a tool for us to use in the web UI called Mingle. So we asked that the ERS system would be Mingleized. The tool that you see today is developed with Mongoose, and Mingle integration is still on the future roadmap. The goals of the ERS included having a tool that will work consistently across all Infor product lines, a tool that will be transparent so that everyone interested in enhancing a product can have a voice in the process and observe the ER move through the process. It's also designed to be a central repository for the user community presented enhancements. Okay, with that, let's jump in and see where it's at. The ERS is located under the Extreme website, and again, if you don't have an Extreme login, get a hold of Infor to do that. But when you log into Extreme, there we go, it's located up under Resources. It's at the very top of the Resources tab, and you can click on and log into the Enhancement Request System. Up at the top right now, there's this tool alert that says that you can only submit enhancement requests under product lines that you're licensed for. If everyone on the call is on SX.e, then you should have access to this already, because right now the tool's only been rolled out to a limited group. So you can just close that error message there. I'd like to talk a little bit about the navigation. Getting around here is pretty intuitive, as it is with most websites. The home button will return you back to this page here. The request button has three buttons under it, and those are to either add a new request, to view requests, which really just seems, from my perspective, to take you back to home. I think it's a redundant button. I'm not sure what function it serves other than taking up time. And the final one here is My Subscriptions. Any enhancement that you're interested in following, you can subscribe to it, and this will automatically take you to the ERs that you are subscribed. Any ERs that you personally create, you're automatically subscribed to. The About button actually does serve a good purpose with the ERS system because it does take you into the help file about the ERS system. So if you don't remember something we talked about today, the help file is current and is really very well written. And actually, under here, there's also a instructional video that was very well done. And it covers really all the things we're going to talk about today in a much shorter time. And let's see. Continuing on here, the next button down is Add Request, which we'll talk about again in a few minutes. And then finally, we have the default view and unread view. When you're looking at the grid itself, the default view that you're going to see is all. It shows you all requests that are currently in the ERS system for products that you are licensed to use. And very quickly, you can go to just unread requests. These would be all the ones that are in blue. So when you log into the system, if you just want to see what you haven't looked at yet, click on unread, and those are the things you have not currently looked at. The final navigation things I want to talk to you about are how to get out of the ERS. There's two ways. You can just click on this little door in the upper right-hand corner, which will log you off and take you back to the login screen, or just click the X in the upper right-hand corner, which will take you back to the enhancement request. Back to Infor Extreme. Okay. All right. The columns of the ERS system. I have actually made adjustments to mine, so I can't even tell you what the default view is anymore, I'm afraid. But there is a little widget over here that lets you show all of the columns that are available for you to add. So you can add in any of these columns to your grid view. There is an Excel spreadsheet icon up here that allows you to export whatever you have in your grid to Excel so you can filter it for enhancements that you want to track differently. This icon in the upper right here, this is a really important one. This is the clear filters. When you start filtering ERs to see what you want to look at, this lets you very quickly go back and clear your filters to see everything again. And then within the grid, the way I have mine set up currently, these columns are all sortable. So you can click on a column, drag it to a different place, it'll drop in there, and then you can sort by those columns. Okay, of course I have mine set up the way I like it, so any changes I make, I have to get them back right away or I'll lose what I'm doing. The filters are very easy to work with. Again, if you were licensed for many products, you can very quickly just type in SX, for example, and hit enter, and it sorts all the results just for SX. If you were interested in SX and, for example, the TWL product, you can apply two filters, and now you have SX.enterprise and all the TWL results. And if you were just interested in SX, TWL, and let's say the new results, just hit the letter N. Oh, I'm sorry, the N is included in more places. Let's type it out. There we go. We have just the new ones. And now we can go back to, again, clear our filters. The, excuse me, the statuses that are in here are new, active, which means that the product management is now monitoring that particular enhancement request, researching, awaiting customer input, deferred for future consideration, implemented, will not be implemented, in development, duplicate, and closed. And all of these statuses are updated by the product manager or their designated representatives. The columns over here reflect the voting results against each of the enhancement requests, and these are acknowledged, endorsed, and rejected. And again, you can jump in there and sort for items, for example, that, if you want to sort for, the ones that have no rejections, for example, you could do a not. The search filters here allow all the Boolean logic that's necessary. So you can say, show me everything that has a reject or not a reject, or more than one reject. The Boolean logic is built in. All right, and down at the, let's see, oh, here we go. Okay, so let's take a look inside the enhanced request system. And, oh, I'm sorry, and down at the bottom of the page here, this allows for easy navigation through the multiple pages. And you can see right now within the ERs that I'm licensed to see, there's 18 pages of them. Let's go ahead and look at an ER right now, and I'm going to sort, or I'm going to filter directly for 1148. So I type in 1148. It brings me to that enhancement request. I know that one because I put that one in. I'm going to click on the view to see what's in there. And let's run through the navigation here. Again, to the top navigation bar, home will take me back to the filtered home view. If I had a filter set up which had multiple ERs in it, I can use next and back, or previous, to move through that filtered list. It's a very nice function there. Next up is if there were any attachments for this particular ER, they would be shown here. Again, I put this one in so I am automatically subscribed to it, but I could unsubscribe so I wouldn't get updates when this one is changed. And status log, when you click on that, it takes you to the bottom of the grid, which shows the product management's work on this particular enhancement request. Okay? And, okay, dropping down, you can see that, again, this has the number on it. The current status is researching. That includes that Infor is currently looking at this one. This particular ER, since I put it in, I don't have a voting function on it, but we can look at the different types of votes that people can have. And those are a count of 28 endorsements, no rejections, 3 acknowledgments. As a user, acknowledgement generally is a placeholder. If a particular enhancement's not going to hurt your company or really help your company, you can just acknowledge that you've read it, and so it stacks as a placeholder for you when you're navigating through the list of enhancement requests. What I tell people is reject any enhancement that will break a process at your company. You can always come back and change your vote so that if the submitter of the enhancement comes back and adds comments to change the enhancement to make it work with your processes, then you come back and change your vote to be an endorsement. So effectively, the ones you're looking for are enhancements that will help you, those that will break your processes, or I really don't have any opinion. As long as an enhancement is in either the new, active, deferred, or future consideration stage, you can continue to vote on it. All right, as we move further down to this enhancement, this is the description phase, and the description is really important. This is where you're trying to build a business case for your enhancement. Any workarounds that could exist. In this case, we paid for a mod to do this particular functionality. And finally, you have the proposed solution. And this is where you would propose a solution that will work with the most number of SX.e users. If you want to get the best traction for your enhancement requests that you create, you want to try to build a proposed solution that helps the most number of SX.e users. If your proposed solution is really just good for your company, then that's probably something that you ought to address as a co-dev project. But if you can build a proposed solution that everybody can get on board with, then that's one that everyone should be able to vote for and endorse. The comment section over here is designed as a running discussion. So you can see we have questions, we have answers, we have other things that go on. And the bottom section over here is a result of voting. When you vote, whether you endorse or reject an enhancement request, endorse or reject requires a comment. Why are you endorsing this enhancement? Why are you rejecting this enhancement? Acknowledgements do not require any comments. Okay, and then the final part of this navigation is you can get out of this enhancement request by clicking the close in the upper right, and that will close it for you, or you can always click home and go back to the filtered view that you last had. There we go. So I'm going to clear my filters again and get back to the whole grid. Next, I want to take a look at ER 2554. And again, if the person who submitted this particular ER is on the call, I'm not picking on you. I just want to use this as an example because I think it's a really good enhancement request, but the user didn't build probably a good business case to get lots of people to jump in and support their enhancement request. So when I jump into this one right here and I look at it, again, I have not currently voted on it, so the voting block is automatically opened. I can come down here and I can read the title of it, and I can see this still in a new status, so product manager hasn't looked at it yet. And the request detail is for a BL order cancellation. I want to point this one out, is not everybody will understand or uses all portions of SX Enterprise. And I think it's important that we spell out very clearly what we're trying to say, what our business case is for why this enhancement would be important for all SX.e users, or as many as possible, so that you can build almost an emotional involvement in why this enhancement should move forward. Again, I assume that they're looking at blanket orders, and because it says up here, when blanket orders entered have to be manually canceled when all releases are complete. And they would like a solution that the 0-0 stage of the BL will automatically close when all releases are complete. I think that's a great idea. I can see how it would really help our company. But again, I would encourage this person on their next one to build a much better business case to get that emotional involvement, so that if someone doesn't use blanket orders in their, if they personally don't use them, they may see this as, I've heard someone in customer service talk about that particular issue of customers have got hundreds of open blanket orders. They never know which one to select. Boy, I sure wish they would automatically close when the lines were complete, rather than having to have IT or somebody go back and cancel them. So, this is a great enhancement, and I'm actually going to come back. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'm going to come back and endorse this one. I'm going to give an explanation of why this enhancement will really improve my business processes, and I'm going to vote on it. All right. Let's see. Let's talk for a minute about how to build support for an enhancement request. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this one. And I'm going to talk about enhancement request number 1148. 1148, clear my filters here again and bring up 1148. That was another enhancement request I put in on an early stage. And what I did with that one is I went to the TUG user community and basically started a campaign to have people support my enhancement request. I brought over with from the enhancement request, I brought over the user case as to why this is a good enhancement, and then I also copied a link from the enhancement request right onto this into the TUG forum, so that people can just click on that link and go right to it and in the ERS system. You can see that people commented on it, and they said they did it, and they jumped on board. And again, this is a great way for to generate buzz about a particular enhancement request. From the special interest group's perspective, I think this particular methodology will be a great way for the SIGs to make sure that all members of a SIG know that a new SIG-generated enhancement has been posted. And it's interesting when an enhancement is posted, and the more quickly the buzz comes up, the more quickly product management takes note and then jumps in and changes it from new to active. Okay, so let's look at how to create an ER. If I can get back to my page. There we go. Okay, back to home. And clear my filters. We're going to jump around a little bit more, but I'm going to click on Add Request. I will tell you up front, typically I'll use Word or some other editor to create my the text sections of the ER. I don't know what the timers are set at in the enhancement request system, but when I'm trying to compose my thoughts while creating an ER, oftentimes I've timed out. I've also found that I've had ERs where, of course, I wanted to attach documents. So if you have all that stuff ready to go, then come in and copy and paste your text in, attach up all your supporting documentation, then go ahead and you can go ahead and submit it. All right, up front, the first thing we have is title. And I'm really going to go back. I'm going to show another one because I got a little cutesy with a title on one of my enhancement requests that just didn't generate enough buzz. Oh, there we go. And you'll see it here. It's a hard one for people to look at the title and say, now, what do you mean? So my title was, do you want fries with that? Now, if you wait for the hover bar to show you the rest of it, it says, what I'm really trying to accomplish, which is analytics to increase lines per order and grow repeat sales to existing clients. That's probably what I should have used as a title, rather than going for the cutesy, do you want fries with that? But again, I thought it was kind of an interesting way to get things started. But I've learned subsequently, keep the titles very descriptive and very, very on point, and I get much better endorsements going along very quickly. All right, the request types. So title, we'll go ahead and create one here. The request types, these were decided upon by the Customer Experience Board that we wanted Infor to include, besides the general type, which is just a general enhancement to the product, we want to include request types that are industry standards or statutory or regulatory. If you have an enhancement that you feel is necessary to meet the statutory requirements of using an ERP system within whatever jurisdiction you're in, then you should choose that as either regulatory or statutory, and those enhancement requests are supposed to be fast-tracked. Now recognize Infor is going to verify that there's been a statutory change or regulatory change that is something that needs to be tracked in an ERP system before they go around fast-tracking your ER, and they can always come back later and say, no, this is really a general one you might have mischosen. Industry standards, we all know that industries change. I think of EDI standards have changed over the years, for example. So if Infor has not kept the EDI system, for example, up to date, you can make that an industry standard change. There needs to be enhancement to these ANSI documents that need to be submitted, and again, that should fast track your ER. It shouldn't necessarily have to go through the full vetting process of lots of endorsements. In this case, we'll say we're just going to do a general one. Product line will show all the product lines that you are licensed by Infor to use. And in my case right now, I can put in, and all of you can also put in, enhancements to the ERS system itself or to SX.enterprise. More products are being introduced on a regular basis, but Infor has a broad portfolio of products. Within the enhancement request system, then we can choose a product within SX.enterprise. So for example, if I just hit T, I can get down to TWL, for example, if I have a TWL enhancement I want to address. Industry, again, remember the ER services all of Infor's product lines, so you can see lots of stuff in there. But again, if you just hit a D to sort for distribution, you can get very quickly to that. The next section here is pretty important, I think. Again, if you select distribution, this will come up by default to be your user community is TUG. And within this, Infor has added each of the different TUG special interest groups. So if your enhancement is just for SX.e General, you would choose SX.e General. But if your enhancement came from another one of the SIGs, let's say it was Advanced Inventory Management, choose it as an AIM type enhancement, and that way everyone knows this came from that particular special interest group. Honestly, they have not kept the releases current, but they have releases in here all the way back to, I don't know, 3, I think. There you go. So, oh, there we go. Nope, they're not. Yeah, there's 10s. Okay, I just didn't roll all the way down. They're not sorted correctly. Look at that, but 10s are in there also. So, so if you're, whatever version of SX.e you're on, go ahead and select that so that product management knows what version you're on. And again, you can choose multiple countries. It will default to the country that your company is licensed in. By the way, all of these are optional. I think they're important though. Your name and your company are automatically populated. And then next up is just the summary. The summary is where you're going to build the business case for your proposed enhancement. And I personally do not try to assume anything about the person reading the enhancement request. I don't know whether they're in IT or sales or operations. I don't know if they even use the SX.e module that I'm discussing. But what I'm really trying to build is a business case that explains to them how my proposed enhancement request will make their businesses better. If you have, let's go ahead and put one in here, test. If you have a workaround that can be used right now, go ahead and list it there to include if you've already done a mod that addresses your proposed solution. And finally, your proposed solution. Remember, you're trying to address as many other users as you can in several countries, as well as directly to Infor. So tailor your solution to garner the greatest possible support from as many companies and individuals as possible. If your proposed solution sounds like it will only benefit you, it should probably be approached as a co-dev project. But if you tailor your solution so that it addresses the needs of many or most SX.e users, how can anyone do anything but give it a ringing endorsement? If you have screenshots, there we go. If you have screenshots or other things to attach, down here at the bottom we have attachments, and you have an option just to cancel at this point or to proceed. So let's go ahead and click on proceed. What the ERS will now do is it'll search for other enhancements that may match up with what your current enhancement proposed is. So you can get in here and look at these. You can view them. If they don't match up with what you want, again, you could just close it or go back to Home. Home will take you right back again to your enhancement and the filtered list. So look and see if somebody else has already submitted your what your proposed enhancement is, and then endorse theirs or add comments that would make their enhancement more closely in line with your proposed enhancement, and ask them to make changes to it. So you can click on all the possible matches. Once you've gone through those, if you see that your enhancement is unique, then you can click Save, and it will create an ID number for it. Now, I'm not going to save this one here for test purposes, so I'm going to cancel my request. Do I really want to cancel my ER? Yes, I do. And what I would do, I'm sorry, I forgot at that point now, once my ER had been created, I would go to it, I would go up to the top, I would copy the, there we go, copy the bar, and go back to the TUG communities, create a forum result, drop my link in there, and try to get support for my ER. Okay, that's the end of everything I have to talk about. Gary, was there any questions?
Yeah, quite a few, David.
Oh, okay. Darn it.
Well, I'll start with Mark Law, because Mark's in the UK, and the first thing he said was, should I be able to see all of the SX.e requests that you can see? I can only see one. And then later he said, I think I have my answer. It looks like it is only allowing me to see the UK issues. Who do I need to speak to sort this thing out? And I don't even know if you have the answer to that, but
well, I'll tell you what I would do. What I would do, Mark, is I would submit an enhancement request to the ER system itself. So we're going to, in this case, submit a enhancement request to the Infor ERS system, saying that you should see all enhancement requests for SX.enterprise, not just for the UK versions. Good question.
Or you could move to the United States, Mark, and that'll fix it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, a couple people have asked, what is the time frame for other ERPs to be added, like A+ and Fax?
That's an excellent question, and honestly, I don't have the dates. The last I heard, it was going to be early spring. As I pointed out, Infor has an awful lot of product lines, and they're doing about 1 or 2 a month. And so it takes a long time to get through all the different products. The last I heard for A+ and Fax was spring of next year.
Okay. All right. Do notices go out to indicate that a new ER has been added in products that they're licensed for?
Absolutely. When Infor does a release for the ERS system to an Infor product, all licensed users of that product will get invited to attend a webinar very similar to this one, where Infor will, again, walk them through, because their assumption is that you've never seen the enhancement request system before, and there are changes being made all the time. So even if you watch it today and you're not currently on a product that is not on SX.e, the only other product that's available right now is Sightline. until this month, and then they started adding, I forgot what they added this month. So, once your product line shows up, you'll get an email from Infor inviting you to attend a webinar learning how to use the enhancement request system.
Yeah, but also the question was, if somebody submits a new enhancement request, does any kind of notice go out to the membership or
no.
Users? Okay, so you pretty much have to keep coming back to the website.
Well, what I really very, very strongly encourage all TUG members to do is create buzz about your enhancements on the TUG communities first, or after you've submitted your enhancement request, and get TUG users who are on the TUG forums to now come back and read and endorse your enhancement. You'll see there are just a ton of the ones that you see that have been acknowledged and voted on. A lot of those are just by me. Again, as one of the architects that helped develop the system, I do have that sense of watching my child grow, if you will. So I really do read and vote on every enhancement. But it is again, in this case, this customer got in there too quickly. They actually submitted an enhancement request to the ERS system that really was for a particular ERP. They weren't waiting for the ERP to go live, or they selected incorrectly. So Infor came in and closed it. So there's no reason for me to even read those. These ones have been closed. So, yes, by the time, if you have not previously looked at it, you've got 174 requests to read. So I would go back and start at the, I would start filtering for the ones that are not closed. So deferred for future consideration, researching, new or active. You can still vote on those. I would sort for each of those groups, work your way through those, get your endorsements in for those, and then come back once a month or so and see what's there if you really are into it. But for TUG members, as a community, we have that great forum to build really good enhancements that we then get submitted to the ERS system.
Yeah, and there's some other questions about how all of that works. I'm going to read one of those questions. So Andy White says, does assigning it to a SIG do something different to its priority versus from just one company? How about a SIG ER with 5 endorsements versus a non-SIG with 50 endorsements? Which has more weight? So, I think that there's some confusion about, the voting that goes on inside of the ERS versus the voting that would go on the TUG website or after, they ask us to vote on it. So could you clarify that a little bit, to how that whole process works?
Well, I'll try. Effectively, what's going on right now is, product management is the decider as to how, what weight to assign to all of these particular enhancements. What the CEB and what TUG is trying to do for product management is to help them understand that an enhancement that's submitted by a SIG really is a smaller subset that should carry more weight. If if a particular SIG says, okay, we've talked amongst ourselves, and these are our top 3 or 5 priorities to move, this to move SX.e and this subset group along. We're trying to make sure product management understands that, that really is, it is kind of what that SIG needs to move along with SX.enterprise. Now, quite frankly, I think that every SIG has more than 5 members. And if a SIG believes that an enhancement will help move that product along, again, I strongly encourage the SIG leaders to, within your forums on TUG, the TUG website, say, okay, we all agree this is it. I'm going to go out and post these enhancement requests. Everybody within the next 48 hours, go there and endorse it. And then you're going to go from 5 to 20 or 30. within within a few days. That generates buzz among product management, and I have noticed that things that generate buzz switch from new to active pretty quickly. It's not really the product managers watching it. She has a designated representative right now who every week goes in and looks for enhancements that are trending, and then brings them up to the product manager's attention.
So I think what you're saying, though, is that from Infor's perspective, if a SIG puts in an issue, Infor has no way of knowing how many people are behind that. It really has to do with how many individual endorsements the issue gets on the ERS that generates attention from Infor. Is that correct?
Well, that is, again, that's somewhat true, but one of the things that we got Infor to put into the system was, again, the specific SIG drop-down that comes under TUG. In the first case of the ERS system, if you said distribution, it said TUG. You can just say, yes, I'm a member of TUG, or I'm not. Now we have to list all of the special interest groups. So again, if you're submitting a SIG on behalf of a special interest group, by all means, I would drop it in there. Otherwise, I would just have it go in under SX.e general. For example, if I have an idea for inventory management, but it's not really coming from the AIM SIG, I would just put it under SX.e general, rather than claiming the gravitas of AIM itself.
Okay. I just.
But remember, that's my that's my interpretation. It's we've got to effectively, we as the users have got to convey to Infor product management how we're using the ERS system. This is a collaborative system between the user community, actually sales, salespeople who are out selling SX Enterprise. If they want to see an enhancement go in, can pop into the system, and whether or not that's happening, I have seen some lone things come in there that have said things like, I need this to close a deal kind of stuff, and then those get dealt with in different ways. So again, what CEB asked for was that all enhancements to our ERPs go through the enhancement request system, so that all of us get an opportunity to say, yes, that's a great idea, or if you worked it this way, it'd be a great idea, or my God, if you do that, you're going to break our processes. Don't ever do that. Because again, how many of us have had enhancements that broke our systems?
Okay. So Andy came back with another comment. He said, I see a bunch of people posting ERs from the SIG, but aren't really coming from the SIG. So in other words, somebody goes in and just says, yeah, this is from a SIG, but it really hasn't been talked about in a SIG meeting or online or anything like that. So, and I assume there's no way to validate any of that.
Right, and there's not. I think to Andy's point as a SIG leader, and I really think we ought to talk about it amongst TUG. I think we really should say in our in our title that this is from the a TWL priority 1 request, or priority 2 or priority 3. Let's come up amongst the SIGs some way of having a title bar that says this was discussed amongst the SIGs and this is a SIG priority. I think what happens is again, folks come in and they've chosen what they have, and then they say, okay, over here, yes, this is for TWL, so I choose TWL, rather than saying this isn't really from the SIG, this is just me saying this is what I think we need for SX Enterprise.
Exactly. I agree. I think we need to formalize some of this a little bit more. And by the way, somebody said that they don't agree with your comment about the AIM example that you gave. They said, I think we should tie it to the appropriate group. If it's inventory, it should be put under AIM. So,
right.
Again, go ahead.
Yeah, that really does become the opposite view of, can I put in an enhancement for AIM, or should I bring it up to the AIM SIG first, discuss it online, have the AIM SIG all vet the results, and then I put that enhancement in on behalf of AIM at that point. And I really like the idea of the dialogue that takes place first online. I have one in here, the very first, you'll see the very first enhancement request that was put in deals with printing of product notes in SX.enterprise. When I talked about this in the TUG forums, there were probably, I don't know, 25 or 30 discussion points going back and forth about how to do it before I submitted this enhancement request. And so, you know, TUG is the distribution user community for Infor's distribution products. We are recognized by Infor for that, and our forum is where we really should have our discussions to fully vet these things before we go out and commit them. Unless, again, it's a, you know, if you think, like I say, the one for blanket orders, I think that's a great idea to close them. I mean, I know my customer service struggles with, you know, customers who use blanket orders, and they've got hundreds of them in the system, and they're all open until we go in and close them or cancel them. So I think that's a great idea, and I'm going to make comments to endorse that one. But that'd be also go and discuss online and have it become part of a SIG.
Okay. Yeah, I still think we need to have some discussions, starting at the SIG level, to kind of try to formalize a little bit.
I agree.
There's a couple of miscellaneous questions that I want to throw out real fast, because honestly the questions are coming in pretty quick here. One, when an ER is voted down, can it be resubmitted?
Yes. I guess when I say voted down, does that mean, for example, there are ERs in here that say will not be implemented? If product manager says they're not going to implement it, I would wait until there's a new product manager and then resubmit, because if product management's not going to implement it, it's probably done. Now, my point on that is, though, there are several of them in here that are waiting for user feedback, where product management has asked for, tell us what your business case is as to why this enhancement exists. And they're still, you know, waiting months later for a result. Build the business case. If you can build a good enough business case, you know, again, the classic example of, you know, if you ask for SX.e to be translated to Cantonese, the answer is going to be no, will not be implemented. You know, there's not a good enough business case. It's not within the model for the product. But if you can build a good business case for an enhancement request that the user community supports, you know, that's, I can't see why product management wouldn't be on board unless it just went way outside the scope of the product.
Okay. Fair enough. Another one, is Storefront live with ERS?
Storefront as a product is not live yet. Now, the Storefront integration to SX.enterprise is. So right now, you could not put in an enhancement request for Storefront. But where Storefront integrates to SX.enterprise, that portion is live.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep, that does. Is this system open to all Infor users? Do user group members submitted ERs get any precedence?
That's an excellent question. I'm going to talk about the future. Right now, everyone who's licensed to use SX.enterprise anywhere in the world can submit an enhancement request. And so I see lots of names of people here that I've never heard of them, I've never heard of their companies. And so I see that as a great ground for us to go out and search for potential TUG membership. In a future version of the enhancement request system, our goal, the CEB submitted to Infor, and Infor has it on the roadmap for the ERS system, for the product management to say, okay, we're going to go in development mode for, let's say, version 11 of SX.enterprise. And I see that there are, you know, 200 enhancement requests out there that we could incorporate. They will bundle that up as a slate of enhancements to send off to the user community. Now again, this is not all users, but specifically to the TUG user community for prioritization. So in version 3, or in some future version, they're working on it right now. Effectively, product management will be able to create a slate of proposed enhancements where just members of the TUG user community will be able to vote to how to prioritize those. There's lots of discussions on how to do the voting. There are no details on any of that. But know that all of the user communities across the customer experience board want the communities to be able to help product management determine the priorities.
Okay, fair enough. And I know we've heard that before. I think that that'll be a good day when that gets here. But in the meantime, from the questions and comments that I'm seeing, I think that the general feeling is we need some more. We need a better protocol for defining what comes from SIG and what comes from an individual. Some people are saying we need better security on it. So that's something that we're going to have to revisit. And I will say this to any of the SIG leaders that are on the call today, that's something that we're going to start talking about at the monthly SIG leader call. So, so there's just a couple of other questions that let me see. Are channel partners using this as well?
Yes, the channel partners have access to it, and there are enhancement requests in the system right now submitted by channel partners. Now, again, oftentimes those are very lonely enhancement requests because they're not building any buzz. The way TUG can get our enhancement requests, to generate traction with Infor is to build the buzz. And imagine if 1,200 users went within 2 weeks and endorsed an enhancement request. Imagine what would happen to Infor. Now again, not everything can be implemented, but if there was that kill to SX.enterprise that the SX General SIG said we need SX.e to do this, everybody get on board, and again 400 member companies and 10 people from each company got in there and voted for it, something's going to happen.
Right. Yep. So it's a lobbying effort.
It is a lobbying. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If we do not use the SIG group category, is there a way to search for entries by group? I think that.
Well, I mean, there's the keyword search in title, but beyond that, no, I'm not sure if there is a way to search within a group. For those of you who see my screen, you can see that Mark Law, who had our first question about the EU group, he has submitted his enhancement here for that. So again, it's pretty quick, pretty easy to use.
Okay. All right. Does a PM give reasons why ERs would not be implemented?
Sometimes. Again, it comes down to the product manager. In some cases, they have given some reasons as why not, but in most cases, there was not really a good business case and a buzz. When you look at the ones that are closed, there's it really comes back to build a business case, for why your enhancement needs to be built, and then get some buzz going so you get some things going, to get that thing going. So it is important. Again, this was an enhancement to the ERS system that dealt with navigation that, again, 17 people endorsed, and it was implemented. These are the things that, if it makes sense, Infor is all on board.
Okay.
Based upon development time and development cycle, I always got to throw that in there. We don't get our enhancements, as we all know, on the next release, but they go onto the calendar and we'll see them in the future.
Okay. So our friend Isabel is saying, if there are multiple get-on boards using the buzz tactic, won't the effect be diluted? What then does Infor listen to?
Yep. Yes. You know, again, I cannot, I'm afraid, look into the mind of product management to get there. That's really, to answer Isabel's question, that's where we really need the next version of ER, of the enhancement request system, that allows the SIGs to now prioritize all these very important things.
I agree.
But the reality is that there are enhancements that I go into, and if, you know, quite frankly, if they're not going to improve my business, then I just acknowledge them. I'm looking for, I endorse enhancements that will improve my business. I reject enhancements that will break our processes, and the other ones I just acknowledge. They're no help, they're no hindrance. I don't want to look at them again.
Okay. Question, unless more come in, but we have a, Mark Law says, cheeky request, can everybody look at my ER? We have some good functionality in the UK, which is not in the US version. If we can share via the ERS, it might be of interest to you. So I think what Mark is really saying is, please go in and vote for my ER request.
There you go.
By the way.
And Mark just said thanks.
Yep. Okay.
And Isabel said you did a good job on a difficult topic, and I agree, David. This is obviously, you know, not all the kinks have been worked out on this, but it's a good start, and I think you did an excellent job. I think the questions have slowed down, and it's also 5 of, so we've gone a few minutes over the allotted 45 minutes that we had. So I'll just wait here to see if there's any other urgent burning questions, but if we don't get one in the next minute or so, we'll just wish everybody a nice day.
There you go.
Do you have any closing thoughts, David?
Remember, everybody, TUG Connects, San Antonio. Save the dates. Registration will open soon.
Okay. Thank you all. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.